Who dominated the 1980s performance races? Forget American muscle and European exotics. The answer might surprise you. Some of those 1980s automobiles could run the quarter mile in under 13 seconds. That's faster than some of today's high-performance sports cars. The 1980s were crazy when it came to car performance. It was a time of big hair, flashy colors, and just raw automobiles. Now, we will see which car comes out on top and claim the title of the fastest 1980s car. Watch to find out. Also, please don't forget to subscribe, as it helps us reach more gearheads. The automotive industry was very competitive during the 1980s. Car enthusiasts were obsessed with speed, and the quarter mile became the ultimate proving ground for performance. But measuring a car's performance was not as simple then as it is today. But how did they use to race cars before all the fancy technology we have today? Well, things were a lot different in the 80s. No computers, no high-tech sensors. It was just good old human skill and observation. Still, that did not stop them from building some real speedsters. But that didn't stop people from pushing the limits. Engineers and tuners were constantly tinkering with engines, tweaking suspensions, and experimenting with aerodynamics to squeeze every last ounce of performance out of their cars. They were driven by a passion for speed, a desire to be the fastest, and a relentless pursuit of automotive excellence. Performance measurement was now translated to a quarter-mile benchmark, and the test separated the pretenders from the competitors by evaluating a car's real speed and acceleration. So, let's take a closer look at some of the cars that defined the 1980s performance scene, the ones that own the quarter mile and have left a lasting legacy on automotive history. It was during the 1980s that American muscle cars made a huge comeback, and these machines were hungry to prove themselves on the drag strip. One famous car from this time was the Chevrolet Corvette C4. It first arrived in 1984 and shifted the car scene. Unlike older models, it appeared sleeker, like it could slice through the air with ease, and had much advanced technology. Most of all, it was very fast. The first C4 Corvettes had a 5.7-liter V8 engine that gave it 230 horsepower. Its lightweight and better aerodynamics helped it finish the quarter mile in around 14 seconds. The C4 continued to get quicker. By 1990, Chevrolet released the ZR1, a top performance model with a 5.7-liter V8 engine created by Lotus. This engine produced a huge 375 horsepower, which let the ZR1 cover the quarter mile in just 13.4 seconds. At the same time, the Ford Mustang returned with great energy in the 1980s, partly due to its famous 5.0-liter V8 engine. This engine powered the Fox Body Mustang and was loved by drag racers and car fans because it was powerful, portable, and easy to modify. In the beginning, the 5.0-liter V8 had 225 horsepower. With some changes, like better intake, headers, and exhaust, it could produce over 300 horsepower, which meant quick quarter-mile times. Standard 5.0-liter Mustangs covered the distance in about 14 seconds. With upgrades, they could go into the 12s or even 11 seconds. Meanwhile, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am was more than a vehicle. It was famous. Its role in movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Knight Rider connected it with speed, style, and a rebellious attitude. The Trans Am also had real power. The top Trans Am GTA from 1987 had a 5.7-liter V8 engine with 210 horsepower. This engine, combined with the car's lightweight and aerodynamic shape, helped it achieve quarter-mile times in the mid-14-second range. With some changes, Trans Ams could quickly reach the 13 seconds. While muscle cars were racing, European exotic cars impressed people with their speed and elegance. With their sleek forms and powerful engines, these cars symbolized 1980s luxury. The Ferrari Testarossa was an icon of that time, showing wealth, strength, and speed. Its wedge-shaped form with side stripes was unique. It had a 4.9-liter flat 12 engine, producing a tremendous sound with a top speed of 180 miles per hour. It was a strong performer in the quarter mile, reaching 60 miles per hour in 5.2 seconds and a quarter mile in about 13.5 seconds. The Lamborghini Countach was also a symbol of 1980s excess. Its extreme design, with scissor doors and sharp lines, resembled a sci-fi vehicle. Its V12 engine behind the driver created a dramatic sound. The Countach pushed limits. It was loud, swift, and undoubtedly cool. It inspired car fans to dream of such an exciting machine. It wasn't only about looks and noise. It performed well, reaching 60 miles per hour in around 5 seconds and a quarter mile in the low 13 seconds, keeping up with the best. Could this be the most misunderstood Porsche ever made? The Porsche 930 Turbo, also known as the 911 Turbo. Thanks to its unique blend of performance and practicality, it could be both a comfortable grand tourer and a track day weapon. But did drivers face any challenges while handling the 930 Turbo? Well, despite its impressive performance, the 930 Turbo had some problems. Its rear-mounted engine and turbocharged power delivery made it open to oversteer, especially when driven aggressively. This unpredictable handling earned it the nickname Widowmaker, suggesting that it could bite back if not treated properly. The 930 Turbo had a turbocharged 3.3-liter flat-six engine giving 282 horsepower. This engine, with the car's light build and sleek shape, let it go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.6 seconds and cover a quarter mile in low 13 seconds. But the 930 Turbo was not only fast in a straight line, it also handled well because of its fancy suspension and wide tires. Yet it was tricky to drive, often oversteering if not treated carefully. In the 1980s, competition was fierce not only between American and European fast cars, but also between Japanese makers who presented strong and quick cars ready to compete. In 1984, the Nissan 300ZX Turbo rolled out with cutting-edge technology. It was a stylish sports car with a turbocharged V6 engine, smooth body lines, and many new features. Its 3.0-liter V6 engine had one turbocharger giving 200 horsepower, helping it reach 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.4 seconds and a quarter mile in the mid-14 seconds. The 300ZX Turbo was not just about speed. It also handled nicely with an independent suspension and wide tires. It had many high-tech items like digital gauges, a talking dashboard, and a heads-up display. Likewise, the Toyota Supra, while becoming a performance icon in the 1990s with its legendary 2JZ GTE engine, actually had its roots firmly planted in the 1980s. The third-generation Supra, introduced in 1986, was a sleek and powerful sports car, but it wasn't the 2JZ GTE that propelled it to early fame. Instead, it boasted a different turbocharged inline-six, the 3.0-liter 7M GTE. This often overlooked engine produced a respectable 230 horsepower, which, when combined with the Supra's lightweight design and aerodynamic body, allowed it to achieve a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of just 6.3 seconds and a quarter mile time in the mid-14 second range. Finally, the Mazda RX-7 was a unique and captivating sports car that stood out from the crowd with its rotary engine. This engine, with its unique spinning triangular parts, was smooth, revved high, and small. Introduced in 1985, the RX-7 was light and elegant, with a 1.3-liter rotary engine producing 182 horsepower. Its engine and light build made it tough on streets and tracks. The rotary engine was advanced but had its problems. It used lots of fuel and often wore out its apex seals, leading to expensive fixes. Now, while you've all been waiting, let's talk about the top car in the quarter-mile wars of the 1980s, the 1987 Buick GNX. This stealthy black beast was a collaboration between Buick and McLaren Performance Technology ASC. But what exactly was it that allowed the Buick to dominate the quarter mile? There was a turbocharged 3.8-liter V6 engine producing 300 horsepower and a whopping 380 pound-feet of torque on display under the hood. This engine, combined with the specially rated turbo-hydromatic 204R 4-speed automatic transmission, launched the GNX from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a thoughtfully heavy 4.7 seconds. And when it came to 4 miles of one, the GNX was really in its lead, 113 in an impressive 12.7 seconds. It clocked up miles per hour. The GNX was a limited production car with only 547 ever built. This unique addition to the impressive display made it an instant collector's item. GNXs are in high demand by enthusiasts today, and their prices reflect their scarcity and desirability. The 1980s were a golden age for automotive performance, a time when cars were raw, visceral, and undeniably cool. From American muscle cars to European exotics and Japanese contenders, the decade saw a diverse range of vehicles trying for supremacy on the quarter mile. But it was the Buick GNX that ultimately emerged as the king, with its record-breaking performance and limited production exclusivity. This car, a collaboration between Buick and McLaren, proved that American automakers could not only compete with, but also surpass the best that the world had to offer. The fastest cars of the 1980s left a permanent mark on the automotive world. They inspired a generation of car enthusiasts, pushed the boundaries of technology, and set the stage for the even more impressive performance cars we enjoy today. If you have some cars in mind that we may have left out, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up if you liked the video, and please make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss our next episode in the Muscle Car Vault.